So I just want to record this because it was such an amazing moment for me today. And I wanted to pass it on, I guess, because some people said it was valuable. So I went to a Suzuki retreat this weekend with my son Glenn, and I was asked to speak on a parent panel, and it was just purely by chance and hanging out with friends at the bar, of course, that I got asked to be on the panel, and I was flattered, and I thought, sure. And I asked the woman who was running the panel, an old friend of mine, was one of our teachers, and she said, just share with the group what I find the most interesting about your story, and that is that you didn't know anything about music when you started with Glenn and Suzuki. You didn't know anything about the Suzuki method. You didn't know much at all. And your journey has been amazing because you just trusted the community and you trusted the philosophy of Suzuki, and now you're such a huge proponent and supporter of Suzuki as a style of learning. And I said, oh, okay, that sounds awesome. I can do that. And the other parents spoke, and their stories are, awesome. I've heard them for years. They're wonderful. Multiple children who are learning Suzuki with a parent who plays an instrument or is also a Suzuki teacher or was a Suzuki student. And then there are parents who just work tirelessly to make these beautiful little musicians, and they practice for hours and play games at home for practice, and they're just disciplined and diligent about it. And then there's me, and and we've taken a long time to get through book 1, and now we're finally in book 2, and Glenn started playing about 7 years ago. And when we first started Suzuki, and I only have one son who plays Suzuki violin, and we decided very young that we were not going to allow them to play the same instruments. First of all, I thought, this is a lot of work. Like, I can't do this for more than one of my children. So, one's the lucky one, I guess. No. So we just decided that they would play different instruments. So I have a 13-year-old, and he plays the drums. And I have a 9-year-old who started with the guitar and now plays piano. So that was kind of our decision early on. And my first 2 years in the Suzuki method, I thought, like, this is nuts. This is bonkers, crazy. I can't do this. This is too much time. And I mean, it's and I know nothing about what he's learning about at all. And so I just couldn't believe the hours and these young people and how they were just these amazing musicians. And we never really, I just was kind of winging it, I guess. And so I just said, and I have this huge binder. I have everything that we've ever done in Suzuki is in a big binder for Glenn. And I just thought, okay, if I'm going to do this and if he's going to be successful, then I am going to listen to whatever the teacher says. And I'm going to do that. I'm going to do whatever she says for him. And I'm going to listen to parents who have done this before, and I'm going to do what they do. I'm just going to take their advice. And so that's what we did. Everything they told me to do, I wrote it down, and we did it. And progress was slow, super slow, because Glenn is not he's just not a driven kind of child. He's just not that way. So we would practice some days, and some days we wouldn't practice, and just kind of let him lead, I guess. I knew, because our teacher at the time, she made it very clear that it should be our choice as parents whether or not the child quits the instrument. And so we just stayed true to that. So it's not, it was never really a choice. It was never an option. Glenn just knew right away, the very beginning, that we would decide when it was over, Mom and Dad. So it's never come up that he's wanted to quit, so that's been great, because I know a lot of parents struggle with that. We commute now 1 hour each way to Madison for our lesson, and it used to, when we first started, it was just 4 minutes away from the house. That was amazing. And if our teacher then, if we hadn't found our teacher then, I can't say that we would have really sought out the Suzuki experience. I didn't know what it was, so I wouldn't have gone and kind of looked for that particular, methodology or anything. So that was really a gift. It was really a gift from God that she lived in our town for that short time. And then we ended up, over the course of our Suzuki training, we're on our third teacher now, and when we lost our first two teachers, things change and people move, and there were a lot of tears. We cried, both of us. We had very strong bonds with them, so that wasn't easy. But we just decided that we were gonna stick it out, and we were gonna do this. So we interviewed new teachers when it was time, and we took breaks. We take breaks from violin. After we had to change teachers for the second time, we took a break. We took about 2 months off of the violin, and it was okay. We both needed a break, and we just needed to be sure that the next teacher that we found was going to be for the rest of the journey. So we waited, and then we interviewed new teachers and found the right one. She's wonderful, and so we drive to Madison now once a week for 3 lessons. The group lesson is note reading lesson, and then his private lesson. So that's where we're at now, and I wouldn't change it at all. The things that we have learned, that I've learned from the Suzuki method, have improved me as a mother and as a wife, and certainly as a human being. Just what Suzuki teaches is so incredible, about valuing your child just because they're alive, and just valuing their effort and ability. And he says in his book, and read the book if you haven't, it's very valuable, just a wonderful approach to life and to music. And he said that you should put your child, when you're watching them play, that you should put them out in front of you. I just use my hand as that's kind of how I symbolize it in my mind. He said you should put your child out in front of you and imagine and see them in their greatness in that moment, and just see them as being great, and listen to their music as being wonderful. And so then I had to learn to kind of cut the umbilical cord. Again, Pam is a wonderful friend, and she's a great teacher, and her and I sat through a parent talk just like this one, and I heard the woman talking about this connection between parent and child in the lessons, and she said, as a parent, you need to learn to kind of cut that tension. And for me, that one stood out and just stuck with me. And so I still find myself, even today, physically closing my eyes and imagining that I'm taking scissors and cutting that bond, that tie, really that more like the tension between the two of us, because I'd be wishing for him to be playing it better, or don't miss that note, don't miss that note, And I had to learn to just cut that off, and that has helped our relationship and Glenn's learning so much. Once I listened to another talk, and go to these talks all the time. Any chance there's a there is a talk or a lecture, a parent lecture, or a teacher lecture that you can sit in on, or a parent panel, go to those. They're so helpful. And the woman was talking about how she was a teacher, and she said that her student just kind of kept getting stuck on things, and he would get stuck on a part of a piece, and she couldn't really understand it because he was listening, and it was hard for her as a teacher to see this happen. And so she just was kind of thinking outside the box one day, and she asked the mother, excuse me, she asked the mother to she asked the mom, what are you thinking about, when you're in the lesson and when this is happening? And the mother admittedly said that she was thinking about, grocery shopping, or she had something else on her mind, or she was worried about something else, but that the mom wasn't really kind of there, And the teacher asked the mother, or the Suzuki parent, I don't know if it was a mom or dad, to hum along in her mind when the child was playing this one song or this one part he was getting stuck on. If the parent would just hum the tune or think of the tune while the child was playing it. And amazingly enough, the child picked up on that energy and what the mom was feeling and thinking. And that small, kind of good vibe and presence from the mother being right there humming the tune got the child through over that hump and was able to learn the piece much quicker. And so I'll do that often in class. And sometimes I don't know where his fingers should be, or I know what his wrist should look like. I know, the umbrella fingers, I know all that, but I don't know where on the violin his fingers supposed to be pressing down to make a certain sound. And so I do know though how the music is supposed to sound, because I listen to the CDs all the time. And so I can hear him playing, and I know that note's not right. I don't know why or what it's supposed to be or how you get there, but I know it doesn't sound right. So when we're in our lessons, I will often close my eyes and hum along with the CD. And I don't know if it actually helps, but it helps me. It helps me not focus on the fact that his wrist is collapsing or that his bowl is too tight. So it kind of gets me into a place of acceptance and just kind of listening to the music that he's making. And that has been helpful. That gets us through, that makes lessons go better, I feel like. And what else did I say in the talk this morning? I hear a lot of parents say, that helps us get through the practice. That helps us get through this piece or get through. And we don't talk about the violin like that anymore. We don't get through a piece. We don't get through a book. We don't, I just took those words out of our vocabulary, and we just attend our lessons and do what the teacher asks of us, and it happens just fine. It all comes together just fine. Our journey took a lot longer than a lot of people, and we're still on it, and we still have years to go. But it definitely was worth just kind of letting it happen and trusting these amazing, teachers and clinicians that we are exposed to. Trusting those people, because they're really good at it. They're really good at what they do. They're amazing. They all have this philosophy that is just so caring and compassionate, and when you read Dr. Suzuki's book, Nurtured by Love, that's what his message is, and it's so powerful. So, what else did I talk about? Oh, nurtured by the nurtured heart approach. The nurtured heart approach. That is also a really, really good book. A lot of parents talk about their children getting frustrated easily and getting upset in lessons or in practice easily. And I have I have a young son who's not Suzuki, who has a low level of frustration and, or, you know, low tolerance for things not going the way he wants them to go. And that book has saved us. I mean, it's just been a game changer. We've changed a lot of things, and it's been really great. So the Nurtured Heart approach, talked about that. I talked about Dr. Suzuki's life story and the video. Oh, and Institute. Institute at Stevens Point is amazing. Do that. That is so helpful. That was great. And all these weekend retreats are so valuable, and listen to what these other parents say and other things that work for them. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Oh yeah, that was definitely long enough. I will try to put this in some sort of blog format too, but in the meanwhile, I'll just get this video up so other people can hear what I talked about. It was great. And I live in Wisconsin Dells, which is about an hour north of Madison. And this particular Suzuki retreat was in Madison. It's every 2 years, and it's wonderful. It's we had two clinicians from Canada, and they were terrific. And Rob Richardson, I think was his name, Annette Lee, she was the piano clinician. And there's another cellist who came down. But Rob was pretty amazing too. And he touched on a topic in Glenn's group class. And he said that listening to the music is like invaluable. I mean, listening to the songs all the time for 5 times, you know, a day, listening to your piece through is worth 2 hours of practice. And I was like, yeah, because we can listen. We listen all the time. Listening to the Suzuki repertoire has been the easiest thing that I have done, and that has given the the easiest and the biggest benefit. And that's like a win-win, right? It doesn't take hardly any effort at all. I just make sure that the music is playing in Glenn's room all the time. It plays overnight, it plays in the car, it plays everywhere. And we do that. And that's been super helpful because Glenn really has a good ear. He can listen to himself playing the song and make the adjustments and make the changes. So that's awesome. So listen to your CDs and listen to the pieces that you're going to play. That was very helpful from Rob. Oh, and he said, yeah, there's 2 things. He said there's listening and playing. So you have to actually get your violin out and they have to play it. And that's up to Glenn now. What else? We talked about motivating teenagers as they kind of get on in their years. And I said, well, now we're at the point where Glenn has a device. He has a phone. And so I just, if he plays his instrument, he gets 10 minutes on his phone to play. And that helps a lot. They like their devices. So I just limit them, and then he earns them with time practicing. So that's an easy way to motivate him to play. And I think that was it. Yeah, it was a great talk. It was super fun, but a couple different moms and teachers asked, said that what I had said in the talk was awesome, and it was very honest and open, and that they wanted other moms and other Suzuki dads and parents to hear it. So there you go.